I just have a couple points and things I'd like to highlight. First, I'd like to talk about what is a miniature book. So miniature books are books smaller than 3 to 4 inches in any direction. Collectors get more and more picky as they try and find the better stuff, so their definition kind of narrows. So some people only have 2-inch books and smaller in their collection, but for our purposes it's about 4 inches. They can be printed by hand press, printed on machine, computer printed, or artist books in various mediums or even handwritten. The most common question I get when talking about miniature books is why? Why do people make miniature books? Like, what purpose does it serve? And it actually has served lots of purposes throughout time. Religious text, if you were a very devout person, maybe you keep something on your person at all times, and it was really convenient. If you were in a time of religious persecution, then it was very easy to conceal. Children's books are thought to be more ergonomic for small hands. And there's novelties such as Cracker Jack prizes. And then also they were seen as a form of showmanship for printers and book artists to show, just using intricate details to highlight their skills. So our collection, my knowledge of the collection started with a single box when I was actually in my orientation tour in January of 2015, coming through, and I saw, we have a little small box of miniature books. Well, soon another box popped up, and I got a couple stragglers of miniature books that would land on my desk, until eventually I got excited about it, so I went through the stacks row by row, picking out every single miniature book that I could possibly find. By that point I knew I was going to do the exhibition, so it was a really fun scavenger hunt. So we have roughly, in the collection here, we have 200 to 300 miniature books. And they're found in virtually every genre and throughout every time period. So for my exhibition, I kind of wanted to highlight the diversity of the collection. So we have literature, we have some handbooks.
The Kentucky building will be closing in 30 minutes. The Kentucky building will be closing in 30 minutes.
We have handbooks, Bibles, devotionals, and religious texts. We have children's books and novelties and toy prizes. And also in there we have promotional materials. And there's just a couple things I want to highlight out of the exhibition here. One is in the center case behind Maria right here. We have our oldest, I guess what we would call miniature books, cuneiform tablets, which date to 2200 BC. And I guess that's a rough definition of books. Most cuneiform print at that time was basically lists, inventories, legal documents, but they were made to be held in your pocket. So I like to call those the first miniature books. Next to those, we have 13th century English manuscripts. They're handwritten, they're from England, but they're written in Latin. And they were actually drawn by monks, handwritten. So if you look at the print, it's very intricate and detailed, and it took a lot of time and effort, so they're really fun to look at. And then also in that same case, we have 17th century pages from the hand press period. So I think there's a Milton's Paradise Lost, and there's a few other just individual pages. And what's fun about those is that they were done using the old hand press methods. So they would actually create a stamp for each letter. They would carve it, and they would slide it onto a little slide, and they would formulate every line for that page and set it next to other pages, and then they would ink it, and roll it, stamp it, and fold it together into this little book. So each one of those tiny letters, and you'll see when you get up there, was a hand-carved stamp that was made just for that purpose. Over here we have a World War I U.S. Army issued Bible. It's meant to be used in kept in your breastplate pocket. You always hear stories of Bibles that save somebody's life, catching a bullet or something like that. And I think my favorite from the exhibition is In this case, we have Hazeltine's and Piso's Cure for Consumption. Consumption is a 19th century term for tuberculosis and cough. And this was like a mass marketed remedy made out of cannabis extract and chloroform. It was designed to treat common cough and tuberculosis. They were accused of quackery and brought up on charges, and they were acquitted of all charges because it did not contain opiates, and apparently it was found to have some medicinal value purpose. So, a little talk about the exhibition process. As Connie mentioned, I received a QTAG grant to put on the exhibition, and I also used it to pay for promotional materials, brochures, but then also we kind of did a remodeling of these cases here. They were originally just bare wood, and so I purchased board and the velvet lining to put down and stretch, just to give it a fun feel. And then also, for each of these books, they created an interesting conundrum of how to support the little books, because they're not, I guess for larger ones you use acrylic stands. Well, you need something small and moldable. So Jonathan's actually holding the material I used. It's we call it PETG. It's polyethylene tetraphthalate glycol. It's highly moldable but rigid plastic that's archive safe. And I learned about this while working at Indiana University. They in their special collections library, they actually have the largest collection of miniature books in the world. And that's what they use. And they recently gave a presentation at the Folger Shakespeare Library about these methods. So as far as I know, WKU and Indiana University, the only institutions using this material now, but hopefully maybe the Folger Shakespeare Library. And just a few more things. I'd just like to give a quick thanks to WKU Libraries for funding this through the QTAG, to Jonathan Jeffrey for his help and guidance through the process of making the exhibition, to the Kentucky Museum, and specifically Sandy Stabell for letting me use some of the cuneiform tablets and some of the props to kind of liven up the exhibition, and also to Jennifer Wilson for helping with promotion and creating the brochures. So thank you, and hope you all enjoy.